Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
Hello and welcome to a World Series edition of On Deck. I almost called it something else like I always do, but game one of the World Series starts Friday, I believe. If somebody can correct me, that'd be great.
Yep. No, you're right.
Okay, I'm joined by the regular guys here. The working man, Crispy Bacon. How you doing, bud?
Doing good. World Series is here. I don't know if we are happy about the picks, but it's here.
Well, we'll definitely get into that part. And below myself is Mr. Big Dog Greg. How you doing, bud?
Doing pretty good, man. Long day at work. Glad to be home and talking about baseball.
Yeah, exactly. And kitty corner for myself, not sporting that awful Mets hat. Coach D, how you doing, bud?
Yeah, I decided to put on the Kannapolis Cannonballers, single A team in North Carolina.
Okay.
I go out there kind of often, a couple times a year, and it's a great little ballpark. So yeah, World Series is on, and I noticed Chris is he's starting Halloween early, dressing up as a Longhorn. It's hey,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
horns down.
Yeah, exactly. So we're talking a little bit backstage for the viewers watching. If you guys can help us answer this question, on Facebook, I came across a post that said 18 years ago today, Kurt Schilling is the first pitcher to start for 3 different World Series teams. By my calculation, unless I'm, don't know how to do math, that would be false because Jack Morris would have done it in 84, 91, and then 92 and 93 for the Blue Jays. But
yeah, he did. That's somebody.
That's one thing about social media. I know we all want to be reporters and all that, and we want to put out, but do the research first before you do something like that. Unless there's a comment I'm missing on it, but So, anyways, Chris brought it up. World Series. What do we like? What do we don't like? Coach D, I know you're kind of vocal about it. So, what do you like and don't like about the World Series matchup?
Man, it's 2 hot teams. Phillies kind of came out of nowhere. They had the manager change early in the year where they were doing awful, but from end of July through September, they were pretty hot. They were just as hot as the Braves, and and they caught up, and they've done Bryce Harper just is red hot. He's carrying that team right now. They're getting solid pitching. I'm kind of going for the Astros, and they're kind of the same way. They've been pretty steady Eddie all year, playing good ball, and they've got everything. They've got the hitting, they've got the pitching, the defense, and the sweep of the Yankees, like a million strikeouts. The Yankees just couldn't do it, and every move Aaron Boone made backfired on him. So I'm sure in New York they're screaming for his head because this is like the 3rd or 4th year in a row it's come down to them 2 teams, in the playoffs. So, we'll talk about the Astros a little later. I have some things that people won't let go, but it should be a good World Series. They're both good ball clubs. I'm more familiar with the Phillies just because they played the Mets a bunch this year. And they've got defense, and they've got, I think what they get is timely hitting, and they got power. And their pitching is pretty good. I think the Astros have better pitchers, but it should be a good World Series. I always like World Series to go 6 or 7 games.
Yeah.
sweeps are not fun in the World Series. It just, except in today was the anniversary from 2007 when the Red Sox completed their come from behind 3-0 lead with Johnny Damon hitting a home run to beat the Yankees 4-3 in the ALCS.
Okay.
That was an amazing series. I still remember watching that series. I'm like, oh, let's see if they give the Yankees trouble. Oh, maybe they'll win another. Maybe. Holy crap! Damon hit a grand slam to win the series.
All right, Greg. So, what's your plus and minuses in this World Series?
Well, I think a minus about the World Series is I think that a lot of people, including Dodger Nation, is still pretty bent on what happened with the Astros, with the trash can concerts they did a few years ago. Even though the Astros trash are not where the team, I don't think they really needed the that's a completely different story, but I think that a lot of people still hold a lot of resentment towards the Astros. The positive about the Astros is we have a couple awesome factors going into it. Dusty Baker is one of the winningest managers of all time. He did win a World Series as a player in the early years, but he's never been to the top manager position. So I think that this is his chance, and then you got a really good feel-good story with Trey McNeil. Is just last half from cancer. He's a cancer survivor. Played forever for the Orioles. Never really did have much going on in an Orioles uniform. Never really did sniff the playoffs much. Now he's got for a ring. So you got Dusty and Trey Mancini, two very deserving guys that deserve a shot at a ring. So that's a positive that you can take away from it. As far as the Phillies is concerned, the thing that they got going on right now for them is they're absolutely pounding the ball. If you look at the betting lines, if you look at the scores, almost every one of their games is scoring at least 8 or 9 runs total in the game. If you look at the Astros games, they're always they're usually under. You're usually talking about 4-2, 5-2, or 5-1. So you're talking about one team that's pretty much all offense in the Phillies. And then you talk about the Astros that's got pretty much the most complete game. Like Coach D said, they got the pitching, they got the hitting, they got the position players, they got 2 excellent catchers. They got the better pitching staff. They just know how to win. They've been winning for years. They've the past 5-6 years they've been putting together really good string. This is like their 3rd or 4th World Series appearance. So you're talking about a team that's been consistent all year long in the Astros, and then you're talking about a team that's kind of really deceptive with what they truly are, because when Bryce Harper went down, the Phillies put together and at least stayed afloat enough to give themselves a chance to make the playoffs. So,
why do you have
the better overall team, but the way that the Phillies hit, I think it's anyone's ball game, really.
Okay, Chris, how about you? What do you think the good and bad of this World Series is?
I mean, I guess you could say the bad is Houston's, back in it. Not because of what they did in the past, but you just don't like to see a team always go to the playoffs, go to the championship game or whatever. And, they're almost expected to win. But then you have on the Philly side, I guess, I guess the good is that, yeah, they made a manager change and it worked out. Most times it doesn't work out. So it's going to be interesting to see if that continues. And right now, just Philadelphia in general are riding a big high right now with all their teams.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I probably won't watch too much of it because I really hope it goes Game 7. 55 innings a game. I really don't care.
Yeah.
But there is feel good stories. Dusty Baker's one of them. Trey Mancini, like Coach D or Big Dog Greg said, not winning. I think he finally deserves it. On the other side, yeah, you got the coaching change, which everybody counted Philly out, and then they turned around and are 4 games away from calling themselves champions. But I just, I'm not a big Bryce Harper guy. I can't do it. So I really hope it does go 7 games, 6, 7 games, like Coach D said. Yeah, both teams are on fire though. Phillies, I think, lost a couple games, but Astros have yet to lose in the playoffs, so they're definitely riding high. And Verlander, if this is gonna be his final league year, let him go out on top. So I guess I'm kind of pulling for the Astros a little bit.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. First, before we get into our topics that Greg or Coach D let's talk about your Mets there, Coach. What happened?
Yeah. It's just life of being a Mets fan. We know heartache. We had the team, and just the bats went a little quiet. The pitching was good at the end, but the bats couldn't come up. They just couldn't come up. Pete was doing his thing, Nimmo was, but a big thing, they missed Marte. He even came back in the playoffs, but you could tell he was pushing it, with that broken finger, and they missed him. I think they would have won the division, if they had him in, because he was valuable for them this year. And, just like the Mets, every little thing becomes a big thing, Their big 2 pitchers, Jake did it against the Padres, but Scherzer wasn't good. Bassett was pretty good. He kept them in it, but then, the Padres started scoring runs and the Mets weren't hitting, and just kind of whimper out. Now what the Mets problems are, they got a whole bunch of free agents, and Jake DeGrom, Edwin Diaz, even Bassett's a free agent. I thought he was on a couple-year deal. And, plus a couple of the regulars. I know Nimmo's a name. I hope he stays in New York. He gets better every year. He improves some point of the game. Right now, he is one of the top center fielders in the National League. People go, oh, he doesn't have a big arm. Well, name me 4 center fielders that have big arms. It's going and catching a ball and being in the right place. How many runs are you taking away by being good defensively? He gets on base at a ridiculous rate. He's he's around 38% of the time. That's what you want. Scored 100 runs, hit 270, 17 home runs. But he's a good leadoff hitter. He's smart. And there's even discussion now, maybe next year, if they keep Nimmo, they might put Marte at the leadoff spot, because the stats when he let off innings and such, he hit like 330, so, put him up there and he'll steal a base on you. And maybe make Nimmo number 2. He doesn't strike out a lot. He hits the ball, but they got to sign some pitchers. In my head, I think they'll sign Diaz. He seems to want to, and I'd like to see them sign DeGrom. I kind of think he wants to stay there, but everybody's putting him at anywhere, even with the rain, so who knows? They got to do something with Walker and Bassett. It's a headache.
Yeah.
I'm like, geez, this was the year, this was the team. Now they got young guys coming up. Are they going to get lucky like the Braves? And yes, I'm calling the Braves lucky that every rookie they bring up is good. That just don't happen. It's and it's a lot of fanfare and arguing going on in New York. All the Mets fans, I'm on some websites, they're saying do this, do that, but a lot of them are knee-jerk reactions instead of, well, you can't do that. They say just go out and get a catcher. Well, if it was that easy, won't you think they'd do it?
Yep.
We need another big bat. A lot of talk of them going to get Trey Turner off the Dodgers. He's free agent. Dodgers have free agent problems too. Trey Turner is the number one. I'd love him. Versatile infielder. He's shortstop, but he ain't playing short in New York. But usually shortstops are really athletic. They could put him at second or put him in the outfield. Maybe third base. They just got a lot of figuring out to do. They do have young guys coming up, but they're more position players than hitters. And stuff. So it's going to be a interesting winter in New York. I went through my mourning period. I'm kind of over it now. Go Astros.
So going into the free agent market, the big name's gonna be Judge. Everybody's gonna go wonder where Judge going, and then probably DeGrom. So I don't think we're gonna see much movement until after, of course, the winter meetings, and then once before spring training starts. So
it'll be like normal. Once one big guy signs, then all of a sudden there'll be a rash. Everybody just waits to see, who's gonna like Judge, and there's even talk. The Angels are gonna trade Ohtani. Even though they signed him for a year, but now at least they trade him, they'll get something for it. I'd love to see him in a Mets uniform, but
I think we all love to see him in our uniform.
But he's going to command a lot, and as would Mike Trout. He's still got a few years left, but like I said before, I feel so sorry for them two guys being on a bad team with bad ownership. That's the issue.
Yep, exactly. You're exactly right there, Dirk. We'll see. Maybe once the trades come, we'll have another show. So right now, what do we think of the playoff format? Greg, what do you think of this year's playoff format?
I think a lot of people had complaints because they thought that a few wild card teams actually had a better advantage, than teams that actually won the division. I don't mind the playoff format as far as how many games. I think that when you're playing the wild card round or the opening round, it should be a short series, and then a best 4 out of 7. So I kind of like the best out of 3, best out of 5, best out of 7 kind of format. I really don't have too many issues with it. I like it a little bit better than how it was before, where you only had one extra wild card, one game, one and done. So I think that it gives everybody a little bit better chance when you're playing the best of 3. So I do like that a little bit better. I think that Major League Baseball even though I'm not a big fan of Manfred, has been taking better steps to at least give us a little bit better playoff picture. It was a little bit ridiculous a couple years ago when we had like almost every team in the league playing for the chance to go to the World Series because we played like 60 games, and had the little 60-game third of a season championship, just like the NBA had the Big Bad Bubble championship,
Yeah.
And the LA teams, the Dodgers, Lakers, they can't win a full season championship. So if you cut their season into a third, they got a chance.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you think of this year's playoff picture?
It hasn't been too bad. I mean, you have the Braves who, they had 5 nights off,
Yep.
and then they kind of dropped off in the playoffs. But I think they need to figure out that situation. Maybe you don't need 5 days rest, maybe a day or two. But I guess the playoff format itself is okay.
All right, Coach D.
Yeah, I like the way it is. Like Chris said, the 5 days off, that can help you or hurt you. If you got some banged up guys, it'll help them to get a little healthier, but then not playing for 5 days in a row, that does something. I'm kind of divided. I kind of like the way it goes: 3 games, 5 games, 7. But in a 3-game series, it's over before you know it, even if it goes 3 games. A 5-game series will more determine a better, the better team should win, or a more exciting series. But then you're extending the season, like you win a series, you should get a couple days off.
Yeah.
But if they played 2 5-game wild card series, the team that you're waiting for in the division series, they're off 5 days, but you would be playing them. You might have a day off, and you would be good. I don't know. That's the penalty for finishing in the wild card.
It's 8 o'clock. You fucking lollygagged enough.
And I don't know. But 3, let's see how this shakes out. The 3 and the 5 and the 7. It builds, and then now the World Series is here. So I like the expanded playoffs. There's 32 teams. A couple of years, there's going to be 2 more teams. It's coming, and there's talk of realigning the divisions again. It's like, okay, maybe have a Northeast, Southeast, have 4 team divisions, Midwest and West Coast or something like that, but kind of try to keep the teams regional, like the Rangers and Astros, them being in the AL West, they suffer the most because they got to fly to Seattle, California, things like that. And the other teams, they mostly go up and down the West Coast. But let's not forget, also next year is another thing. Every team is going to play every team. It might be a 2-game series, but I think I like that, so we'll see.
Yeah, no doubt. I think, they got some kinks to work on, but I think the format was good. I mean, the first 2 teams get a bye. Yeah, you're off a week. I mean, that's reward. Prepare your team better. I mean, what was it? After the first round, both top seeds in the National League was out. The Yankees were close to being eliminated. I mean, the Astros are the only ones that felt like they were prepared for it. So,
Yep.
And now, so I definitely do like the 3 games in the first round. They could possibly do 3 in the second round and then go 4 or 7 out of 7. So, but they got some work to do, but I like it. So, before we move on to the big topic that Dirk brought up, we brought it up before, but a lot of fans on social media say Ohtani should be MVP. Judge struggled in the playoffs. Guys, what do you think? I still say it's Judge's award.
Yeah.
Dirk?
Yeah, I think so. Now, Judge was horrible in the playoffs.
That's not
you
a
know,
playoff award.
and so everybody's screaming that the playoffs don't count. You know,
Nope.
it's not the playoffs. It's,
Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Hi. It's not the playoffs because you eliminate half the guys that are in contention.
Mhm.
You know, they don't get to play them extra games.
Yep.
You have playoff MVPs. You know, Ohtani, great player. He had a great year. I think it's Judge. You could say Ohtani is player of the year
Yep.
or something. Have some other award that's just as valuable, but he's not the most valuable player. And that's the key word, valuable.
Yep.
You know, they finished way under 500, you know, fourth or third place. If they had Judge, I say this, if the Yankees had Judge and or if the Yankees had Ohtani and the Angels had Judge, what would change with the two teams? Nothing. Or you take them both away, Yankees aren't coming in first place.
No.
And the Angels are still bad, you know, if you took them both away.
Yep.
So it's Judge. You know, he had a great year. Stuff. You know, it's more like everybody is bashing Judge now because he had a bad playoffs.
Especially Yankee fans.
You know, let's see you go out there and play 162 games and be all fresh and everything, you know. And baseball, you know, everybody goes in slumps, you know.
Yep, exactly. Coach Big Dog Greg, what do you think? Still Judge, Ohtani? I mean, what do you think?
I think that even though Ohtani had a really good year, you know, well above average for comparison to the rest of the league, and he also pitches. You know, he's an everyday player. Pitches. I think that he put together what would normally be an MVP caliber season, but I think that the 62 home runs, which eclipsed Maris by one for the American League record, seventh home run list. I think that it's Judge's. I think that he just put together one of those seasons that's just going to edge out Ohtani. Nothing take away from Ohtani. If Ohtani was in the National League, he'd be hands down the MVP. He just happened to play in the same league. I think it's Judge's. Even though Judge was horrendous, the entire year, his team was horrendous. 41 strikeouts. Of the ALCS is just absolutely ridiculous. So, take that side, I think Ohtani had a great year, but I do think that that's
All right, sounds like we're having some technical issues there with Big Dog Greg. So
storm in the Great Northwest.
yeah, maybe, I don't know. He's freezing. So Chris, how about you? What do you think? Judge MVP?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think?
I think it'd be Judge. I mean, I think if he didn't get his record, I think it'd probably be Ohtani. But since he got his record, it's probably most likely Judge. But whoever it's not going to be, they'll probably get, you know, a secondary award or something like that, whichever comes next.
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
I just wanted to say that there's a lot of, like Coach D said, you know, Ohtani put together phenomenal records, but he was also playing for a team that had no chance at the playoffs.
Yep.
And I've seen it in other sports, whether you're talking hockey, whether you're talking the NBA. I've seen a lot of guys that have put up MVP caliber seasons as far as points in the NBA, pretty close numbers actually to Michael Jordan back in the day. But some of these guys were playing on teams that were only winning like 35 games, you know. And so when you get players putting up those kind of numbers, I think that a lot has to be said for guys that are actually playing on teams that are competitive as well. And so I think that the fact that they at least made the playoffs and made the American League Champions Series probably will weigh in a lot as well on the MVP race.
And I think too they go off of regular season. That's how a lot of sports count their awards.
It's all regular season. It's another point that the pro judge people make. Otani had a good year, and he had a good year for right, but he doesn't hit 300. He had like 36 home runs and a little over 100 RBIs. I think he won 14 or 15 games. He did get a lot of strikeouts, but he's not in the Cy Young talk as a pitcher. And as a hitter, he didn't lead the league in any category. 36 home runs is nothing to sneeze at. He hits a respectable 260, 270. He does strike out a lot, as does Judge, but Judge put the numbers up there, and, almost came pretty close to the Triple Crown, so, I don't, it's hard. Again, I feel bad for Otani. It's the position he plays or the positions. There's nobody like him, but player of the year, have something, just the best dude all around, defense, hitting, if they pitch, how about include some of that? How many times has the MVP been a DH? David Ortiz, they don't even play in the field, yet they just hit. So I don't know.
Yeah, for me, it's Judge. As much as I hate to say it, and I wish it was Ohtani, but Ohtani, like we've said, he played on a bad team. He didn't lead any categories. He's phenomenal player. Don't get me wrong. Can pitch and hit. Not too many players can do that. So, once we see more players do that, we have more to judge on. So, but yeah, for anybody that says it's not Judge, I think you're wrong. So, if it comes out to be co-MVPs, and
yes,
more power
he
to
will,
it.
Christy.
Yeah, he should win it. But somehow if it comes co-MVPs, I wouldn't be too upset at that either. So.
It'll probably come down and he wins it easy,
Yeah.
And then everybody off fretting about nothing. But
yeah. So we had a manager signing. What's that, Chris?
I was going to say a couple, but I think we covered the others. So
yeah. Bochy, he signed. Who did he go with? Rangers, right?
Rangers.
Bruce Bochy signed with the Rangers, 3-year deal. Everybody's happy around here. He's got all the stuff you want. Shockingly, he doesn't have a 500 record for his career, but he's only like 20-some games from cracking the top 10 of wins as a manager, because he did manage the Padres for 12 years before spending 13 with the Giants. 3 world championships. That's nothing to sneeze at. And
one against the Rangers, by the way.
Yes, against the Rangers. Yes, we all remember that. And I think that's a good signing for the Rangers. I think he's the right guy. He's a baseball guy. He's not a super analytics guy, but there's other guys around him that'll be like that. We'll see who he gets to help him on his pitching staff, but he's always had the reputation of being a coach that the young players like. So the Rangers are kind of ripe for somebody like that, a veteran coach that they're going to listen to. Their regular lineup is good, it's their
Right.
pitching,
Yep,
they
and
got,
And I think he uses analytics, but he doesn't rely on analytics.
yeah, he's not
Yeah.
like Dave Roberts or somebody like that.
yeah, and then the other signing was Skip Schumacher to
The Marlins, I think.
Marlins.
Yeah,
Yes.
he went to the Marlins.
Yep. First time manager there. So
If he coaches like he played, he's going to be good.
yep.
Greg would know Skip pretty well. He played for the Cardinals for I always liked him. I remember a couple of years ago he came out and he had the high horizontal or vertical stripes on the socks. It was crazy looking, and he had this big, huge handlebar mustache. I mean, you see it from the center field camera, but he was a hustle ball player. Always gave energy. When he was a player, he's a guy everybody wanted on their team. You'd want that guy on your team. So, and with the Marlins, as usual, they got a lot of young talent down there. So yeah, we'll see. Stupid pain in the butt.
So do we know, did Philly sign their manager, or is he still an intern?
I think interim still.
If he does not get the job there, then there's something wrong with Philly.
No, yeah, they'll sign him.
Win or lose the World Series, that guy earned a contract.
Yeah,
I don't know.
think-
We thought something like that in football, but it never happened. So
yeah.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, though, if this guy doesn't get it, then the Twins should fire Rocco and get this guy to come in and be their manager, because
Yeah,
he
I think
earned
Philly-
the contract.
The Philly players just didn't like Joe Girardi's way. He might have been too old school for them.
Yeah,
Rubbed them the wrong way. They were lost at the beginning of the year,
yeah.
and when the new guy came in, all of a sudden, I mean, it was like almost immediately they started picking it up. So
Yep.
and there'll probably be a couple of more coaching changes. I'm quite sure Aaron Boone is on the hot seat. And now that he's on the hot seat, Don Mattingly is out there, Yankee gray.
I can't see the Yankees bringing. I mean, I know Yankee great and stuff, but
Yeah,
I mean, I guess
he's only like 55 or something like that.
Yeah.
He's not very old. I always thought it was weird seeing him in Miami, though.
Yeah.
And you go, wow, that's Donnie baseball.
Yep. Or coach of the Dodgers or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's get to the big topic. I'm seeing posts all over the place on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, social media, all over. And Dirk kind of brought it up, so I'll let him lead it out. Why can't people let the Astros scandal go? So, Dirk?
People got to let it go. Yeah, there's a couple guys still from that team, and then they say that the whole thing just is annoying now. They're jealous because their team didn't get in. Oh, they cheat. Okay, first thing, every single team in sports cheats.
Yep.
Every single one. Okay, if you don't cheat, you're losing a little advantage. Now, they went and used equipment,
Yep.
and that was strictly it was actually in the baseball rules, so they got hurt.
Yep.
They did get punished. AJ Hinch was fired. The GM was suspended for a year. They paid some money, and they lost draft picks and stuff. So don't say they got off easy.
Well, did Cora get Boston fired him? Didn't Beltran become
Beltran was involved with it because he was on the coaching staff.
Yep.
That's
And he was
why the Mets. When it came out, the Mets were going to hire him a couple of years ago, and it came out he was involved. So the Mets, they didn't want nothing to do with that, so they let him go. These fans are out there. Christy, why don't you weigh in on this too? Or you think they should be crucified for what? I don't understand what these fans want from the Astros. These guys are, Dusty Baker wasn't involved. Half the Verlander wasn't involved. It's like, geez, come on, let it go. Or if you want to go that route, okay, let's bring up the 1919 Chicago Black Sox. Okay, why aren't they being punished right now? Have you let that go yet? It's let it go. It's taking over all the conversations about a really good baseball team. Okay, and every baseball guy says, there's cheating going on. There's stealing of signs. That's an art. Coaches. There's coaches that look at the other teams and see what they're doing. Okay, when he does this, that means a steal is on, or this play, just to get a little advantage, and
but maybe fans don't see that as cheating.
Yeah, a lot of these
it's
nerds that never played sports in their life, and they only play fantasy baseball and fantasy football, and they think exact is exact. A blade of grass that's colored white touched the ball, so it's fair. That's another argument. That's the human element. We got too many replays and everything else, but it's the people like that, in my opinion, that are really driving us. Ooh, cheater, pumpkin eater. It's let it go. That was 5 years ago. Okay, let it go. You're just jealous because the Astros run that organization really well, and they didn't really suffer from it. They lost. AJ Hinch was a great manager, so they lost a good manager. Their GM, I don't know too much about him, but he was gone for a year. They persevered, and you're jealous because they, are they supposed to walk around with their heads hanging down and feeling ashamed?
But maybe too, they just don't like, when teams or players cheat, so they resent that.
Yeah, true.
And that's why
I've got the same argument for Tom Brady with the deflated football.
That's true.
So, Greg, how about you? What do you take from the? Should fans let the Astros go or what?
Well, I think that we're living in a I know that we're living in a very judgmental culture. There's a lot of finger pointing going on, and I'm not just talking about in the sports world, but it seems when you look at Facebook and other media, it seems like there's a lot of people that are in the holier than thou mindset that think that they've never done anything wrong, that they've never cheated or thought about anything. You got the baseball purists that won't vote for anybody that may have may have not taken steroids, but anybody that was tied to the steroids thing, whether they were a phenomenal talent like Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, they won't vote for them because they're such a baseball purist that they're like, well, we can't do that. Or we're not going to vote for Curt Schilling because he said a few things that hurt our feelings, that had absolutely nothing to do with what they contributed to on the field. So you got a lot of people out there that are baseball purists and think that the game should be 100% just, fairy tale, no sins, no errors, no foul play at all. So a lot of people were just like, oh, how dare they? They took a championship away from the Dodgers. They stole signs. They did this and that. How many times have we seen in games? I've seen a lot of games where people are using like tablets and computers and stuff to figure out, okay, this guy's going to pitch here. This guy has great movement on his curveball. Stand closer in the box. They're doing all these analytics, all these things to give themselves an edge, either on the mound or at the plate. I've seen JD Martinez at least a dozen times a few years ago looking at computer screens while in the dugout about, okay, should I stand back in the box? Should I
Well,
crowd the
they
plate?
all
What
do
should I
that now. They
Yeah.
all got the
Yeah.
iPads in the dugout, you know.
They all have it. So everybody's trying to get some kind of advantage, you know. And I understand about the taboo, about the stealing signs and everything, but I can guarantee you that the Houston Astros are not the only team out there 5 years ago, or even this
Currently.
season, that is steal signs or figure out what the other team's gonna do. So it's not the Astros just happened to have got caught. A lot of loose lips out there. People that played for the organization spilled the beans as well on everything that they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like every team other than the Astros was completely innocent of this. Okay, so we can stop, playing around and acting like the Astros are the bad guys of baseball, because other teams were trying to do the same thing. They just didn't get caught, or things were kept under wraps. So I think that a lot of people, especially like Dodgers fans and stuff, are never going to let it go because they feel like it was a tainted championship, or it was, something that wasn't earned 100%. But I think, I think in line with Coach D, I think it's time to let it go. I think that even 5 years ago, the Astros were a better team. I don't think that they needed to bang on trash cans and have a concert and everything. I think that they could have won without trash cans, because even if you think that a slider's coming and you're going to sit on a slider, you still have to be able to hit the slider. Just like if you take steroids. Guys could take steroids. That doesn't mean that you're going to hit 50 home runs. I've seen guys that have taken steroids and their home run numbers went from 3 to like 5, in a year. So, so I think that you also have to have the talent, to execute these advantages. And I just think that people are still stuck in their ways, and I think that it's easier to hold a grudge than it is to forgive. I think that it's easier to hold on to something when people are miserable. Their misery and their complaining and everything becomes their best companion. And it's a sad state of the world. It's not just sports. It just seems like when people get hell-bent on something, they love to live in their own misery because it becomes a very comforting companion. So I think that's where we're at.
Yeah, for me, it's I think, Greg, you nailed it right at the head there at the end. The pitch is coming, you still have to hit it. You still have to put it in play. So, I mean, you saw it in the movie Trouble with the Curve. The top draft pick knew it was coming curveball, and the guy was missing by a mile. So, yeah. With the cheating, yeah, everybody does it. Every sports. I mean, you get a runner on second, he's looking in at the catcher to try to tip off the pitch to the hitter. They're looking for a glitch in the pitch or something like that. So using the tablets, okay, that probably was a little bit too far. Or using the trash cans too far, I get it. But yeah, let it go. Just same way with Barry Bonds. Just because he took steroids didn't make him a better hitter. He was on Hall of Fame pace before he was taking them, in my eyes at least. So just let it go. I mean, yeah, you're not going to get voted in because these baseball peers who are voting for the game wanted 100% clean. And, I guarantee we go through the Hall of Fame. Go ahead, Greg.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got guys not making the Hall of Fame now just because you got guys that never played in the big leagues. You got all these sports writers. I still think that the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame should be voted on by the fans and not the sports writers. I think that it should be more open to the public. But you got guys missing out on the Hall of Fame because people didn't like something someone said 10 years ago. It's time to get over some of this stuff.
Well, and I guarantee if we take a look at the Hall of Fame and really dug into it, I mean, there's probably scandals all over the place in there. I mean, There's probably people don't
Yeah,
like.
there's at least 30 guys that probably don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame based
Yep.
on the numbers, but they got in because they were popular, or I think that there's a few guys out there that don't deserve Hall of
Yeah.
Fame, but they got in because they had a couple phenomenal seasons or they were pretty popular.
Okay. Chris, what about you? Do you think, I mean, I know you're a Rangers fan, so
Yeah.
you think the Astros fans should get over what the Astros did and just let it go?
I'm over it. I mean, yeah, I don't want them in there because they have, a lot of championships. I know a lot of teams do, but and they've made it the last 6 out of 8 years. So there's a little resentment as far as that goes. But as far as what they did several years ago, I'm over it, and I think fans should be too. But you also got those fans that, yeah, they're Rangers fans or they're fans of somebody in the division, and maybe there's a little resentment there.
Yeah.
So they'll just say whatever.
I think we're all in agreement. Just let it go. You still have to hit the ball. Yes, cheating's wrong, but in sports, everybody looks for that little edge. So.
Yep.
All right, guys. So let's go around. Give our final thoughts. And our World Series prediction. So, Greg, I'll start with you.
Well, I don't think that this is going to be a sweep by any means. I think the Phillies a tough place to play. They're pounding the ball really well. I think that the pitching edge goes to the Astros. I think that the overall edge goes to the Astros, but I can see this thing. I think the Astros are going to win it about 4-2. I think it's going to go about 6 games.
All right. Chris, how about you?
I could see 6 games. I mean, first 2 games are in Houston. The next 2 games are in Philly. So I could see a split there. And then I'm not sure after that, where they go next, if it's back and forth. But
Yeah, it's two with the Houston, 3 in Philly, and then I believe 2 back in Houston.
Yeah.
I think it's how it goes.
yeah, I could see Philly taking it.
Ooh, going Philly.
Yeah. And then Tuesday Night Mania is coming up here shortly. So.
All right. Coach D, how about you? What do you think?
I'm thinking Houston in 6. I think they've got the pitching advantage. Philadelphia has been hot, but now they've got the dreaded 5 days off. So do you stay hot? It's hard to stay locked in when you're not playing. They're a good feisty team. They did come from way back this year to make the playoffs. So they're, kind of a comeback orientated type team. So they know they're never out of it. But Houston has, they got some really good young players. And there's a couple of wily veterans on there, Verlander, Gurriel, Altuve. To me, they've just got too much pitching probably is what it is. I think Astros in 6.
All right. For selfish reasons, just because Game 4 would be next Tuesday, I would like to have a sweep and we can sit and talk about the championship. But I don't think we're going to see a sweep. I think we're going to go 6-7 games, which would end the 5th, I believe. So, but I'll go to Astros 4 games to 3. I'll say we're going 7. So
7. That'd be awesome.
But like Chris said, on Tuesday Mania coming up at the bottom of next hour, about 9:15ish or so. We got plenty of shows. We got new shows starting up on November 1st. Speaking of Game 4, me and Tim Hendricks will be doing a ranking of different categories, different subjects, stuff like that. So it'll be called Rank 'em. C2C Rank 'em on Tuesday, November 1st, 9 a.m. Central. We might try a couple different time slots, but that's the time slot we're going to use for the first at least. So check that out. And also keep checking out all of C2C's programming. Thank you to Chrissy for jumping in. I think that's the only one we had. I know we had some viewers, so thanks guys for joining. And we'll see y'all next week on Deck. Have a good night.